Live from the KWQC Broadcast Center, this is your Fox 18 9 o'clock news.
Wonderful. I hope everybody that's talked about it has said it's the greatest thing on the world to go on this trip.
World War II and Korean War veterans are returning to the Quad Cities tonight after spending a day in our nation's capital. Some who are visiting the memorials there for the very first time. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bailey Dietz. This is a live look at the growing crowd at the airport, ready to greet those veterans when they return. We'll have a live report from there in just a few minutes. First, our top story. Police in Muscatine surrounded a car lot looking for drugs and illegal items. Fox 18's Tiffany Liu spoke with the employees at JC Auto Sales today who say they were surprised, to say the least.
Around 11 o'clock this morning, witnesses say Muscatine police and several undercover cops surrounded JC Auto Sales behind me. We have confirmed with Muscatine police that there is an investigation ongoing. We also know that the Iowa State Division of Narcotics is involved. The owner, Luis Castro, tells us police came in with a search warrant and took a few drills, toolboxes, and both him and his employee's cell phone. They showed us the search warrant willingly, and a lot of it was searching for illegal or stolen items, including televisions, video games, and other electronic and various items. Employee Dino Enriquez says a narcotics officer also asked about drugs. He says he is shocked that all this happened.
I was working on the car and I was coming back to get some rags when cops came in with their guns and threw me on the ground. Put me on the ground. Scared the crap out of me. That's what. Other than that, I was just wondering why they were there.
Both the owner and Dino tell me they didn't do anything wrong, and as I mentioned earlier, both their cell phones were confiscated, but they have been returned by the Muscatine police, and business is open as usual. Reporting in Muscatine, Tiffany Liu, your Fox 18 9 o'clock news.
Tiffany, thank you. And the Iowa State Division of Narcotics is also involved in this investigation. A retired Moline Middle School teacher accused of sexually assaulting a student has been found not guilty. In December 2013, police charged Henry D. Paul with criminal sexual assault and aggravated criminal sexual abuse. The accusation said it happened at Wilson Middle School in 2010. Again, he's been found not guilty. For months, police searched for the driver of a vehicle that struck and killed 17-year-old Emilio Perez. And now that police have a suspect in custody, the Perez family is thanking law enforcement, Quad Cities Crime Stoppers, and QC residents for their help in the arrest with this billboard. There are two billboards up, one on Illinois Route 5 near East Moline, the other on River Drive in Moline. Illinois has its first human West Nile deaths. 2 people have now died. The Illinois Department of Public Health say they lived in northern Illinois and contracted it late August to early September. So far this year, 15 human cases have been reported. In 2013, 117 people were diagnosed with the virus and 11 people died. Health officials say until there's a hard freeze, it's important for people to protect themselves against mosquitoes. And there were sunny skies out there today, a little bit warmer temperatures too. Let's see if that's going to continue. My fingers are crossed. Chief Meteorologist Eric Maitland is here now. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Bailey. Oh, yes, have faith. We've got 70s for tomorrow and then 80s for Saturday, although our Saturday weather does come with a chance of some rain. We'll time that all out with your latest exact track coming up in just a few minutes. Right now, we've got nothing but clear skies over the QCA and some clouds off to our north and west. Some of those will find their way to our skies tomorrow. We're at 59 in the Quad Cities, 64 in Muscatine, 56 in Galena, and 60 in Galesburg. Cooling off quickly here in the metro, 56 at midnight, 51 by morning, and we'll see temperatures back to the mid upper 70s tomorrow afternoon. Sun, a few clouds, go for 77 for the high.
Buffalo, Iowa city officials are considering moving the post office out of a flood zone. Over the summer, the post office was temporarily closed due to the high water, so officials are looking at 2 options for relocation: City Hall or the Buffalo Historical Museum. But that would mean the museum would have to move possibly to City Hall. Now, Historical Society is worried about what might happen.
We do not want any hard feelings with anybody, but I've worked 15 years to build what's down there now, and I just could not see giving it up.
She says the museum started at City Hall and it was difficult to arrange the artifacts there. She's hoping to stay where they are now. Mayor Anderson says the post office liked the Historical Society's location better, but for now it's still unknown what may happen. Latest numbers from the CDC show about 1 in 68 kids has autism spectrum disorder. With more diagnosed, there's more resources being made available, including a new center here in the QC that tonight held an open house, getting their questions answered about the facility, as many questions still remain about the developmental disability itself.
He started having some really bad tantrums. Here comes.
4-year-old Clayton has autism, diagnosed at the beginning of this year after his parents noticed some of the red flags.
He had hundreds of words and then just lost them. It was just a very huge regression.
Now, every weekday, he comes to the clinics at the Homestead's Children's Autism Project. The center opened its doors to families in July, and right now staff are working with 12 children.
We work on communication, social behavior, and cognitive skills.
It's one of the only facilities in this area to now provide an intense clinic environment.
It's amazing to see these kids learn, and our kids work so hard.
And there are so many things families and professionals are trying to learn about autism. Some think a higher number of kids being diagnosed comes from more awareness.
We do know that we know more about autism. We have better diagnostic tools than we did in the past, and we're also catching it younger.
Parents hope that it's not because they're too quickly identified with the developmental disability.
I have seen some children that I'm like, you know, maybe that's not quite what it is.
Some debate the numbers will continue to rise because of other factors.
Maybe something that is genetic, I think it's something that's genetic that's triggered by something environmental.
But what they do know for sure is that early intervention can make a big difference, and for this mother, she can see it already.
When you speak to him, he's looking at you now. He's getting there.
The Quad Cities Children's Autism Project does have a waiting list right now. In Moline, the Quad Cities Autism Center is another location in the area dedicated to helping people with autism. The Rock Island Arsenal workers are preparing for a visit from the U.S. Secretary of Army John McHugh. Arsenal workers are responsible for manufacturing equipment troops use, so McHugh will take a look at the Arsenal's operations and how important it is to maintain funding. The visit is scheduled October 7th. 90 military veterans are on their way back to the Quad Cities after a full day touring the memorials dedicated to them in Washington, D.C. This is the 29th honor flight of the Quad Cities. Fox 18's Mark Stevens joins us live from the airport now. And Mark, all those veterans supporters getting ready for the arrival celebration.
Bailey, people have been gathering here all evening. You can just tell the excitement is really starting to build. The big numbers, 160 people are coming back on this 29th honor flight. But the most important number, of course, is the 90 of the travelers who are the veterans, 22 from World War II and 68 from the Korean War. Of course, when the veterans enter the airport, probably in about 45 minutes to an hour, they're going to be greeted by an always large crowd of supporters here back home. And that crowd of supporters, there's always people here who come all the time. Some people here have been here for every honor flight, but there's always somebody new, and in fact there is somebody new here who's welcoming home his dad as a surprise.
He's never really asked for much out of life, and he's always given back, and so it's just a way for me to give back to him. So.
Now, there's still time, of course, to head down to the airport. They welcome anybody and everybody down here to welcome back these veterans. The ceremony starts around 10 tonight, so of course about 40 minutes according to my watch. Reporting live in Moline, Mark Stevens, Fox 18, 9 o'clock news.
Definitely a memorable night for those veterans and their families. Thanks, Mark. Meantime, registration for the 15th annual Stand Down for Homeless Veterans began today. Every year, homeless people are invited to the QCCA Expo Center in Rock Island to get services. People in need can get food, shelter, clothing, and sometimes health screenings. 50 area agencies in the QCA are scheduled to be there.
One of our goals as a veteran is to make sure that the veterans are recognized, respected, and given a chance to also get back into society.
Anyone interested still has time to register for the event and can do so tomorrow morning from 7 to noon. The event aims to help veterans, but any homeless person can attend. It seems some of the Ebola patients are becoming desperate and willing to try anything that could possibly cure them of the disease. We'll tell you what unusual and potentially dangerous measures some are taking. And Congress gives the president the green light to go after the terror group ISIS, but some say they're still concerned about the strategy. We'll take a look.
75, our high temperature in the Quad Cities today. Everybody got into the 70s, and with a little bit more sun and a milder start tomorrow morning, we'll be seeing temperatures get a little bit warmer for your Friday. Details coming up next.
You're watching Bailey Deets. This is your Fox 18 9 o'clock news.